Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars, where we give you an inside look at what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week, Pisces season begins. We're going to give you an overview of everything that happens during Pisces season so you know what you're getting into up front. But in case you missed it, last week we had the full moon in Leo, as well as Mercury entered Pisces. So if you want to know more about that, then definitely check out last week's episode before diving into this one.
And just to give you a heads up, next week we will tell you everything that you need to know about the new moon in Pisces and Venus retrograde in Aries.
And since the sun entering Pisces, Neptune conjunct the North Node, and Mars stationing direct in Cancer all happen first, we will explain these in depth now, but all of the other transits, such as Mercury in Aries, Venus and Mercury retrograde in Aries, the new moon in Pisces, and the lunar eclipse in Virgo, we'll still tell you about them now, but they will all have their own deep dives in weeks to come. Fasten your seatbelts. Pisces season has a lot going on. Let's dive into it. Pisces season begins when the sun enters Pisces on February 18th at 5:07 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. How this affects you. When the sun enters the sign of Pisces, you begin to take on the Pisces-like themes. So you might notice that there is a shift towards being more intuitive. There can be a dreamy energy in the air. Sensitivity can increase. So you might feel more called to listen to your gut instincts. But this transit outside of bringing stronger emotional awareness can soften boundaries and encourage empathy. So it's just something to keep in mind throughout the season.
What you can expect. During this time, you might feel more creative and in touch with your spiritual side. You also might be relying more on your intuition and exploring activities like meditation, journaling, or just wanting to spend time near water if the weather where you are allows that. However, do keep in mind that because Pisces is a very imaginative energy, it can be easy to get caught up in your dreams. So remember to stay grounded, especially if you find that you are more likely to be doom scrolling around this time.
There are some key dates you're going to want to pay attention to. These are the aspects that the sun makes as it moves through Pisces. The first is on March 2nd. The sun will square Jupiter, which can make you feel very optimistic, but it's going to be really important that you do not overcommit yourself or overestimate what you can actually take on.
And then on March 8th, the sun will be trine Mars. This is going to increase your motivation and also support you in taking actions as you are working towards your goals.
And then on March 12th, the sun will conjunct Saturn. This can feel like a very grounding or serious energy where you're feeling both inspired but ready to be disciplined, making this a good day for setting realistic goals.
And then on March 14th, the sun will be sextile Uranus. You can expect there to be some surprises or new insights coming around on this day.
And then on March 17th, the sun will conjunct the North Node. This can feel like a day where you are getting a lot of synchronicities or insights that are pointing you in the direction that you need to be headed towards when it comes to fulfilling things like your path or your destiny.
And lastly, on March 19th, the sun will be conjunct Neptune. This is really going to enhance your imagination and empathetic side, making a good day to be creative and to connect with others.
The next thing that happens during Pisces season is Neptune conjunct the North Node on February 22nd at 10:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What you need to know is that Neptune, a very imaginative energy, when it is conjunct the North Node, which indicates the direction we are headed towards, there can be a really strong sense of spiritual growth that can be felt on a collective level. So you might feel more drawn to move beyond things that are just like logical or day to day as you begin to consider more deeper perspectives and dream of more than ever felt possible to you before.
Something you should know is that you might have really vivid dreams and also sudden waves of inspiration. Because Pisces does deal with boundaries, it's also really important to make sure that you are staying grounded so that you don't feel overwhelmed by things going on, whether that's in your life or in your surroundings.
The day after Neptune conjuncts the North Node, we have Mars stationing direct in Cancer. This is February 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yes, that means Mars retrograde is over as of February 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern. How this will affect you. When Mars finally moves direct in Cancer, you might feel this immediate relief from any emotional standstills, or if there's been a lot of tension going on. The forward momentum is really going to help you tackle any personal projects that maybe you have put on the back burner. And since Cancer is a water sign, you might still feel your emotions very strongly, but you'll definitely have more clarity and motivation to act on what feels the most nurturing and supportive in your life.
What you need to know: once Mars stations direct in Cancer, you will be more focused on creating a sense of security and safety within yourself or within your space. You also might find that you're feeling more protective of yourself and more willing to make changes in order to support your own self-care and well-being.
There are some key dates you're going to want to pay attention to. These are the aspects that Mars will make as it moves forward in Cancer again. The first is going to be April 4th. Mars will sextile Uranus and also trine Saturn. So this combination can bring balance between innovation and discipline. So with Mars and Uranus, you might feel more motivated to experiment or try new things. But with Mars aspecting Saturn, you're also craving structure. So this is a really good time to implement like new routines that require you to be both creative but also consistent.
And then on April 8th, Mars will be trine the North Node. On this day, you might find that you're more motivated to take actions that are aligned with your long-term goals. This is also a good time to focus on your instincts and to move towards meaningful experiences for yourself.
So everything else that we are about to mention will have their own episodes in the weeks to come, but we are still going to tell you about them now so you know what to expect. The next thing happening in Pisces season is the new moon in Pisces. This will happen on February 27th at 7:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What you can expect: new moons are new beginnings where we're calling in fresh energy. And since this is in the sign of Pisces, themes like being more intuitive, listening to your gut instinct, or even being more creative might feel like something you want to pursue if normally you don't pursue that. So there can be this little push to start maybe new creative projects or expressing yourself in creative ways, or to work on being more compassionate for yourself or for others.
Something you might not know is that this new moon will be trine Mars and square Jupiter. This can create more energy and motivation when it comes to setting new goals for yourself. However, with the square to Jupiter, just be careful of taking on too much all at the same time.
The next thing that happens during Pisces season is Venus retrograde in Aries. This happens on March 1st at 7:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yes, when Mars retrograde ends, Venus retrograde will begin. It can feel a little bit very back and forth energy vibes here, but regardless, what you need to know: Venus retrograde in Aries will be a time for you to reevaluate how you are with how you relate to others and how you assert yourself when it comes to things like addressing personal goals or being independent. Themes around self-worth might come up, and this can be a time where you reassess what really truly resonates with your values and also your passions.
Something you might not know is that Venus will retrograde from Aries into Pisces. This does happen during Aries season. When Venus retrogrades from Aries into Pisces, that will bring a shift into Pisces themes that have to do with your more emotional and introspective side.
Then the next thing that happens during Pisces season is Mercury entering Aries, but don't get too comfortable. This will happen on March 3rd at 4:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Something you should know is that for a week and a half or so, while Mercury is in Aries non-retrograde, spoiler alert, there can be a push to be more direct with how you communicate with others. So you might feel like you want to say things very bluntly or make decisions quickly and say things in a more straightforward fashion.
What you can expect while Mercury is in Aries, you might find that you want to speak your mind more freely and that you are addressing things head on. Be mindful that Aries is a very fiery energy, so you might want to take some time to take a step back instead of rushing into things. Also, just a heads up that Mercury will conjunct Venus retrograde at some point. So that's also going to add another layer to this transit that deals with your relationships and values.
The next thing that happens during this very intense season is the lunar eclipse in Virgo. This will happen on March 14th at 2:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that could mean March 13th, depending on what time zone you're in. So how this affects you, eclipses are supercharged new and full moons, and this will be a supercharged full moon that will be highlighting themes such as work and practical details with the Virgo energy. This could bring light to areas where you need more organization or clarity. There can be this urge to refine your schedule or break free from being a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to how you're approaching your day to day. It's all about coming into balance here. So there can be some sudden revelations or turning points, such as if you are being overly critical to yourself or others. So it's going to be really important that you pay attention to what insights are showing up and assess how you want to manage these insights when it comes to your daily life.
Something you might not know is that this eclipse is heavily aspected with positive aspects to Mars and Uranus and some challenging aspects to Saturn and Neptune. This mix of influences can create some interesting energy. However, it might feel a little bit like a tug of war between being flexible and staying open to new possibilities. You might want to consider finding ways to channel this energy so that you're able to balance your intuitive side with being practical.
And then we close out Pisces season with another planet going retrograde. Live, laugh, love. Mercury will station retrograde in Aries on March 15th at 2:46 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, that could be March 14th, depending on your time zone. How this affects you is communication might start to slow down. You might notice that there's more technological errors, or you might need to revisit old ideas. And since this is in the sign of Aries, which, as I mentioned 2 transits ago, can lead you to speak more directly or bluntly, it's going to be important that you are also taking a minute to pause before you speak, because there can be a tendency to say things impulsively or to make plans that you cannot follow through with. This retrograde does offer a chance, though, for you to really refine how you communicate what some of your personal goals are and how you want to approach certain conversations.
Something you might not know is that Mercury will eventually retrograde from Aries into Pisces, which is again going to shift the energy into a more emotional and intuitive reflection. This will support you in staying flexible and getting to know yourself on a deeper level.
And that is it for this week's episode. Next week, we'll be talking all about the new moon in Pisces as well as Venus retrograde in Aries. So if you want to know more about that, then definitely make sure wherever you're listening to the podcast, you're subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss when we post next week. But until then, that is all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday.